Today I catch up with the amazing Vanessa O'Grady, owner and director of Wicked Energy Supplements in Darwin. Anybody and everybody who is looking for high quality supplements knows about Vanessa. She really is a Darwin staple. She's the foundation of the wellness industry in Darwin, and I'm really excited to be speaking about women's supplements with Vanessa today. Vanessa is not only the owner and director of Wicked Energy, she is also an integrative health coach. She has a Bachelor of Science and Exercise Health, and she is well known within the industry. She's been a great advocate and a great community leader, and she is particularly well known in the natural bodybuilding field. When I get together with Vanessa in this interview, we are talking about supplements for women. And we really touch on some of the more common supplements that women are looking for, in particular magnesium. We talk about what magnesium is, why it's so important to us, but also why it seems to be lacking so much in our body. We touch on some other supplements, including collagen, the different types of collagens that are available, and protein as well. We also talk about the importance of choosing good food sources that are nutrient dense. And what that really means is choosing certified organic produce whenever it is available to you. We talk about why that is and why it is that we're seeing so many illnesses in the community and what we can do to prevent the toxic load that really is in all of the food that we're eating if we're not eating sustainably and we're not eating certified organic. So sit back and relax. I will have all of Vanessa's show notes at the bottom of this podcast. So if you're in Darwin, you definitely want to reach out and jump into her shop. Not only is she a wealth of knowledge, she has the most amazing staff, and they are always so friendly and so ready to help. If you're not in Darwin, you can follow them on social media. I'll pop that in the show notes as well. But in the meantime, let's get started. Today, I'm welcoming Vanessa O'Grady from Wicked Energy in Darwin. Thanks for joining me, Vanessa.
Thanks, Katie. Love it. No worries at all. Love chatting.
I'm super excited to have you on board. This is something that I've wanted to do with you for a long time, and we're both super busy people, so trying to find the time, of course, is always a challenge. But what really sparked my interest was, as I've started doing these women's retreats, as I was telling you, so many questions are coming up. And while I am a wealth of knowledge, there's only so much that I can help people with. And so I really wanted to have a platform where our women can go to find out some of their answers. And I know from speaking to you over the years, you are also a wealth of knowledge and so well known in your own industry. So I guess it was really when I thought about you that I was like, you know what, I could just start interviewing people and, we could work as a community to help our community, which I know that you're really passionate about as well.
Absolutely.
So
good to get knowledge out.
Totally. Hi. So before we get into the thick of it, can you just tell me a little bit about who you are, what it is that you do, and even some background history, because I know that you have been involved in the fitness and wellness industry in our little town for a long time now. I remember like 15 years ago seeing you at events and wondering, who is this woman? So give me a little bit of background on how you got started and what you're doing now.
So I guess I've always been around the fitness industry. Started going to the gym when I was 19, and there weren't a lot of women in gyms at that time actually doing weights. So I loved it and got to Darwin in 96. And it's really interesting, probably about 9 years later, I remember sitting in on a talk by Carol Hungerford. And Carol Hungerford was a doctor, and she realised really quickly that the medical system was treating symptoms, not root causes. So then she studied naturopathy, and she wanted to try and combine the two and integrate the two, because we need both. It changed my life. So I came back, resigned from a corporate job. I had been working weekends at the health food store in the Mitchell Centre. And so I started there full time. And I love it because really, as you know, you can't know everything. And there's so much to learn, and you're always just continually learning. And it blew my mind. The other really big incident that happened with me was about 20 years ago. I got depressed, and really not like me at all. I think what happens in Darwin, it's very damn hot. And we still do all this exercise outside because it's beautiful. Just got deficient. I got deficient in magnesium. I was really lucky that I got to the right doctor. So he put me onto magnesium instead of antidepressants. And that was another life-changing moment for me. I just completely just changed me. And so being able to be in the health industry meant that you can help people. So I worked in the health food store there for quite a while. And then there was just a change. And so my friends were actually telling me to go and open my own store. And having been around the fitness industry, I guess, for so long, the supplement stores were popping up down south, and the internet was coming hugely into fruition as far as being able to order online and that, even though back then it wasn't, I don't think, as quite as safe, but Darwin didn't have one. So I left the health food store, was away from it for probably at least 18 months, 2 years, and opened my own supplement store called Wicked Energy. So, and people, they were actually my number plates for 8 years before the store opened. So everybody knew the number plates and knew it was me. So yeah, it was really, they drive past and go, oh God, that has to be Vanessa. So it was really cool. And because of my background, I knew a lot of people, which was really nice. So they came and supported us, and the store grew quite nicely. And about 18 months later, we opened the one in Yarrawonga. So, yeah, it's really cool. And like, the best part about it is you just never stop learning, and you learn from your customers as well. So being able to get feedback and what has worked for them, same as what worked with me with magnesium, you can pass on the information, and it's great. It's just, when you see the changes in people for the better, it's really rewarding. It's really rewarding. So yeah, that's a bit of my background.
And it's so true, like you learn from every person who walks in the door, hey? Like, there's not a day goes by that I don't learn from somebody sharing something with me. It's just something else for your toolkit. So how long have you been open now at Wicked Energy?
12 years. 12 years, the 10th of the 10th. Yeah, 10th of October. I know, crazy. Oh my God, I was going to say, oh my God, how time flies when you're having fun, but it's been a big 12 years. Yeah, it doesn't, exactly. So,
yeah, I'm about the same. I think I'm 15 years.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome.
Said, like the ups and the downs. I know how difficult it is running a business. Would you have not done it, if you had your time again?
The only thing I wouldn't have done was open that third store at that time. That was my only big business mistake. So apart from that, like, my time has been great. I've had really, really great team members, been so lucky over the years, and which is also really cool. So, I would do it again. I just wouldn't open that third store. Yeah, well, that's been my, that big, we all make mistakes. It's all good. No, it's all good. Yeah.
Working with women, if we're talking supplements, so what do you see? What are some of the most common supplements that you see fly off the shelves for women?
Protein's big, as we, and that makes sense. And I think what happens is, it can be difficult to get the amount of protein into your system that, there's so many women that work out these days, and I'm talking about lifting weights and that. So I know this sounds crazy, but I went to a doctor once for a checkup and got all my levels checked, and it's really embarrassing when you own a supplement store and your protein levels aren't high enough for your output. So that was an eye-opener again for me. So I do find that women do really struggle. So, I had one of my best friends and she was struggling with her weight. And so I said, come and see me. And I said, well, what do you eat during the day? And it was breakfast carbs, morning tea carbs, lunch carbs, afternoon carbs, and then dinner. Oh, we got a little bit of protein. So to make it really easy for her, I simply gave her a protein shake to have for breakfast. And she started losing 1 kilo a week. It was mind-blowing. Even for me, that just actually was surprising. But being able to it's so easy to eat carbohydrates because they're, especially the bad carbs, and to get too many of them, and they're not filling. So I find that can be such a simple fix. And I'm not saying that you have to have a protein shake. Have some eggs for breakfast. Have some meat and salad for lunch. Get your good fats into you so that you are satisfied and you're not just continually looking for those simple, easy carbs. And carbs are great, but they need to be the right ones, and it can't just be for most people just carbs. So, and collagen is another. Yeah.
Well, with protein, what I hear from a lot of our clients, a lot of people aren't eating meat, right? So they're following the narrative that meat is bad for the environment, that it's bad for your body. I mean, yes, meat can be the most toxic thing that we eat, but if you eat grass-fed, pasteurized, sustainable meat products, it's actually one of the most healthy foods that you can put into your body. It's not what it is, it's where you source it from, right?
Yes, 100%. It's really interesting what's happening in the world. And, I have seen some beautiful, beautiful, healthy vegetarians walk into my shop and their eyes are bright and all that sort of stuff. And that diet suits them. Because I don't believe one shoe fits all. You've got to find what works for you. And I think that there is that change that's coming where, oh God, help New Zealand, but anyway, taxing cows, farts and burps, but yes, no, it's crazy. It's so insane. I just, the world needs the animals, the grass, the ground, the fertilizer needs cow poo. It's part of what should be an eco farming system. The cows, the ducks, the chickens, the whole biodiversity of how we do farming. It should be part of it. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so difficult for people to really sift through the misinformation that's out there. That's the reality, and it takes a lot of courage to look for truth in everywhere, isn't it? But like you say, meat isn't for everybody, but protein is so important. That's what we see in the studio as well, especially for women over kind of 40 years old. I definitely feel like the vegan movement and the vegetarian movement, vegan movement in particular, is probably more suited for women, to younger women,
But, you know, once you hit menopause, once you're, you know, not producing the testosterone, the estrogen, the progesterone that you were in your younger years, very difficult to maintain that muscle strength, let alone gain muscle strength, which is why we see women over 40 struggling with pain and recurrent injuries.
100%. And I think, yeah, the other really big stigma is, or, you know, I'm sorry. I don't want to put on a lot of muscle. I don't want to, you know, become bulky. And the biggest thing for women, it is so hard to put on muscle for most women. So even with your training, with everything you do, I always say train to put on muscle. To do it, like, it's just, yeah, it's that stigma. And it's really hard to convince that you're not, they're not going to put on all this ridiculous amount of muscle by having a protein shake. You know, like it's not going to happen. The natural bodybuilding women out there would hope that was the case, but it's not. It takes a lot of hard training to put that muscle on. So for the normal women, just, it's a good place to start.
And ultimately, more muscle mass, so protein builds muscle, more muscle mass is going to reduce your fat, right? You know, so you're trying to
absolutely, because muscle,
protein.
Yeah, and the more muscle you have, the more the higher your metabolism is. It's really interesting. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, me too.
So collagen. I know collagen's a big one. Talk me through what is collagen? You know, because there's like bovine collagen, marine collagen. But, you know, what's the difference in the collagens, and what role do they play in our body if we're supplementing it?
So, so gone are the days where, you know, the mum would put on this big, and I'm talking probably 200 years ago, the big cauldron with all the veggies in it and the meat and the bones and everything and the stews. They're like, and my mum used to make amazing stews when we were younger, but the bones and everything would go in there because all of that goodness would come out of the bones and the tendons and the ligaments and all that. And that's where collagen comes from. But we don't cook like that anymore. The majority of us don't. And I sort of sometimes wonder if that's why there's so many injuries these days, so many ACLs that get done on the footy ground, because we don't have that collagen to keep all that interconnective tissue strong, flexible. So it's a lot easier to break our joints and so that's where the collagen comes in handy, and that you've now got somebody else, the bigger companies, making the collagen for us. So when you make a stew, and if you let the stew go cold, you've got the fat that sits on top, and then underneath that layer, you've got this gelatinous part. That is where the collagen comes from. That's your gelatin. And the collagen comes out of the gelatin. So, it sounds... I think I remember the time that it happened when everybody goes, oh, my God, do you know where gelatin comes from? And then somebody found out, and then the world went crazy. Like, oh, my God, we're not eating that ever again. And, you know, even with soft serve ice cream, they go, oh, my God, do you know what's in there? And us typical, I'm going to say this, I'll probably be called racist, but I'm white, so I don't care. You know, us white people always seem to eat the worst bits of things, you know, like, and we can learn so much from the Aboriginal communities around the world that eat the better part of the meat and the cows and whatever it is, you know what I mean? And we could learn so much. Yes, absolutely. Aboriginal communities where they eat all those, the good parts, that you get so many nutrients and different nutrients than we do. So there's bovine, which is obviously cows, your marine collagen. There's even like your eggshell membrane and chicken. So they reckon like the different parts of even the chicken, like the chicken sternum, and I'm not going to be able to remember what it's for. I think it may be better for joints and stuff like that. So it's really interesting that, there's collagen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Yeah. And a combination of all together is best. But at the moment, most of them are just your 2s and 3s, 2s and 4s, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. And it's actually really,
that when it comes to amino acids, so, your essential amino acids that you get from your collagens from your joints and stuff, what's important is it's like for like, so so say if you're drinking a collagen that is from, the bones, the joints, then that's going to feed your joints. If you're drinking something, you're taking an amino acid supplement that is from a plant material, your body's not going to synthesize it as well or integrate it. It has to be like for like.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And it makes sense. Makes so much sense. Yeah. So,
Right. So what about,
I remember.
so we've got protein and collagen.
Yep.
What about at the different stages of life? Do you see, do women come in, say, when they're in their 20s, 30s, compared to when they're, in their middle age and then their later stage of life? Does it change what women?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Menopause is so huge, but I'm finding, let's start at the other end, where there's so many young women these days that have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I think it's syndrome. And apparently that comes from high estrogen. So if you can balance your hormones out again in a nice natural way, then, it's that whole fat. Like, how long have we been told not to eat fats? And we need fats to regulate our hormones. We need those fats to absorb fat-soluble vitamins into our bodies. We need fat to that's why your fatty meats are so good, because it helps to process the protein in our body. And it's such a big thing. It's getting back to these carbs again, which, like I said, they're not bad, but if that's all you're eating and you're not getting your good fats and you're not getting your protein, it's out of balance. And so, your polycystic ovarian syndrome is, from what I know, and I haven't spoken about it for a while, so from what I remember, it's our estrogen's too high, which is really easy to do these days. Artificial colours, flavours, preservatives, all the chemicals, the stress. And that's another big thing with women, like, we're not just stay-at-home housewives anymore. We do it all, or we're trying to do it all. And so that stress is there. And all of that throws our hormones out of whack. So, even the young girls, and you can see even, and even with the guys, it's the same thing, the estrogen's too high. And so earlier on, it's still that whole thing about balancing your hormones. And then, I found through my life, it's almost like a 7-year cycle, which is really frustrating, by the way. And your metabolism changes and your hormones throw out a little bit. And so, it's adjusting to each period of your life, or trying to, and keeping those hormones balanced. And, I wish I knew back then what I know now, and, I don't know, the more natural food you can eat, the more balance you can get. See, I've always loved the blood type diet. So, because I believe that's how we evolved. So, and I find it such a good starting point. So, finding out what suits your body, but the bottom line really is, if it's got a label, it's probably not food, proper food. So, shop on the outside of the shopping centre in the herb and spices aisle. Yeah. But anyway, and then menopause. Well, menopause is a whole different ballgame, isn't it? God help us. Yeah. And like you said,
what happens is, so say when we're young, so it's the food choices we make, it's our environment, it's our emotional state. And then if we mess with our hormone regulation when we're young, when we're producing optimal hormone levels where we should be, but we're already out of whack, then goodness help us once we get to perimenopause, right? So, things that increase our toxic estrogen load are, like you say, pesticides, herbicides. So you have to be eating organic. And I always try and say to people, you know what, eat organic when you can. But the reality of it is you have to be eating organic, like you have to be spending the money now so that it doesn't cost you later. Either way, it's an expensive experience. 50% of us are going to end up with cancer, 50%. So you or I are going to end up with cancer as in a statistic, right? It's preventative. Hormonal issues are preventative, but because they are environmental, so it's the plastics, it's the paints, it's the perfumes, it's the food in our body, it's the chemicals in the food, in the meat. If you eat
it's the sunscreen.
The sunscreen, everything that you put on your body.
It's the lack of sun.
Yeah. Vitamin D.
I know.
There is a way around it.
Yeah.
Right? Unfortunately, we live in a very convenient society, and
it's
looking after
huge.
yourself is very inconvenient, isn't it? I always say if I add more than one ingredient, it's not natural. So
that's right. I know. So true.
It's not natural.
Yeah.
But,
that's so true. And that is a huge part. Yeah, it's a huge part. Like you said, it's about convenience, but it's actually not that hard to eat healthy. People say to me, "Oh, it's really expensive to eat healthy," and I'm like, so it's doctor's bills. And that's right. And this is the thing. Like, people, you've got to join the dots. You've got to join the dots. And I think that it's actually less expensive to eat healthy and have that energy every day to live your life rather than eating crap food, dragging your ass through the day. We how do I say this nicely? We sell a huge amount of energy drinks every day. And those people come in every day and tell me how tired they are. Yeah. Join the dots. It's really interesting. And the convenience of a packet of chips or this or that instead of it. Honestly, buy an apple instead of a packet of chips. The apple's cheaper. Buy 2 apples. It's cheaper, but and I think we've just become, look, I get it. We're all so busy, but we have to take a step back and go, it takes just as much energy to buy the apple and eat the apple than it does the packet of chips. You probably just saved yourself $1, to tell you the truth. But we've just, we need just be proactive. One step.
Yeah, for sure. So when you talk about carbohydrates, because what seems simple to you isn't necessarily simple to our wider audience. So we know that protein is meat. We know that you can get plant-based protein. We know that there's things like your legumes and your quinoa and hemp seeds, all that sort of stuff has protein in it. Although very, very difficult to get the amount of protein you need from just eating that. So explain to me what is a carbohydrate, because ultimately a lot of people would think carbohydrates is your breads and your cereals and your pasta, but it's more than that, right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Like your sugars, your potatoes, your sweet potatoes, rice.
Vegetables are carbohydrate, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Fruits. I had I'll tell you a quick story. I had a guy come in the shop one day and he was struggling with his weight. I said, walk me through what you're eating a day. And he got to the end and I'm like, why are you overweight? Like, I can't understand. I don't understand. He goes, I do like mandarins. I went, okay, so how many mandarins do you eat a day? He goes, 16 or 17. I'm like, right, okay. So then, yeah, and they're great for you if you have one or two, but if you're eating 6 or 7 every day, on 16 or 17 every day on top of everything else that you're eating, that's insane. That's so mind-blowing, yeah. So, and yet fruit is so good for you. But once again, I had another friend and she goes, the problem is, like, I'll sit down and eat the whole watermelon. Okay, cool. But, yeah. So, and sugar, obviously, sugar. Yeah. I think the insulin thing's a thing.
And any fruit and vegetables are carbohydrate or converts to
Yep.
carbohydrate in your body.
Yeah.
Any
Yep.
rice, pasta, cereals, any packet food is carbohydrate,
Yep.
pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anything.
But there is a difference. Yeah. And as we know, there is a difference. There's a difference between sitting down to a plate of beautiful vegetables than eating a loaf of white bread. As my sister used to say, the white loaves of death. Massive difference, because at least in all those veggies that you're eating, there's that beautiful fibre. But then there can be too much fibre. I know, and this is where people get so confused. So, moderation, everything, time.
Well, it's
and every day.
If you were to choose vegetables over bread, bread, they fortify it. They have to put stuff in it to make it good, right? There's nothing in bread that is nutrient dense. So if we think nutrient density to everything that we put in our mouth, I don't know where the studies are at the moment, but, when I eat, say, an organic, a certified organic carrot compared to a non-organic carrot, the taste is completely different. The certified organic food has so much flavour that I actually don't feel like I need to eat as much, which to me would translate as nutrient density compared to your white loaf of death or your non-organic food. I need to eat more of it to be satiated, and it doesn't have the same nutrient density. So, even for that, it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, it all comes back to the soil again, doesn't it? And the soil that it's grown in, and how, commercial farming, they don't rejuvenate the earth every time. They just keep planting, wheat, corn, whatever. So our fruit and veg do not have the nutrient value that they did unless it's organic and it's grown properly organic. That it used to have, and you can taste the difference, like you said, like unbelievable difference. And that's, it's why Mike from Organic AG is doing such a great job up here. You want convenience, order his box of organic fruit and veg every fortnight or week, and it's sitting at Wicked and other places around town. You just have to come pick it up. You don't even have to go shop for it. Just come and pick it up. How convenient is that?
Awesome. And I've actually got him set up for an interview as well, but he's in New Zealand having time off at the moment. But
he probably needs it. It's been huge tea.
We're so here that we actually do have an awesome community of wealth of knowledge and people who are making difference to the community and people who want to share their expertise.
Yeah.
We have everything we need up here to live and have a sustainable lifestyle.
Absolutely. It's you've just got to choose to do so. And that's the difference. You've got to want to do it. And then make baby steps and change something. Pick something once a fortnight and just start making changes. It's really, no matter who I talk to, I say the same thing to, because you can't change everything overnight. So, even if it's this month, get your breakfast right. Make your changes there. Next month, then, okay, now I'm in a habit. I've got my breakfast sorted. Now get your lunch right, and then spend a month doing that and finding, your variety of foods and that suit you and that are easy. And then get your dinners right. And then snack, fruit. That's simple, That was a good thing about growing up with mum and dad. We always had fruit for morning and afternoon tea, so we always, a lot of kids, but yeah, it was good upbringing. So, and, teaching your kids those good habits. Another friend of mine, her mum they'd come home from school and her mum would say the bottom drawer in the fridge, and it was a crisper full of veggies, fruit. She would eat like a capsicum whole. I'm like, what the hell? We grew up on apples and oranges, big difference, but she would just eat a whole capsicum. I'm like, that is so cool. Teach your kid, it's
Sorry,
yeah,
today.
it is.
And I said,
It is.
just before about the health of soil, so when we're eating non-organic foods, talk me through. You've suffered some magnesium deficiency. So tell me a little bit about what's the importance of magnesium? What are some signs and symptoms that I might be magnesium deficient, and why is it? I mean, I think like the stats are saying, like 90% of us are magnesium deficient. How can that be? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, like we said, the soil, commercial farming came in and it's all about the bottom line. So they don't care about the nutritional value. They care about the bottom line. So they've pretty much, they call it tilling. Tilling is so bad for our soil, and they just regrow every year. Whereas in the old days, they'd rejuvenate for a year and then you'd plant somewhere else, and then you'd come back after it's rejuvenated using the cows to put the poo in the soil and the chickens and the ducks and all that, best fertilizer ever. But now they don't. So what's happening is our soil is deficient, and it's extremely, this magnesium's so important. So there's so many little signs that you can look for, and I've been talking about this recently. I talk about it a lot to people all the time, but if you're not sleeping properly, or you get to sleep and then you're waking up regularly during the night, you feel like you're anxious all the time. You're edgy, so you might be just getting a bit like snappy at home more than you used to. Like I knew with my personality, they used to call me Smiley when I was at the casino and doing my job there. And then to go from that to being depressed, I'd never been depressed. So there's so many telltales. You cramping. Cramping's another big one. Headaches, like if migraines. One of the biggest natural cures for migraines is magnesium. So my brother and my little sister used to get migraines all the time because they looked down. One was a baker, one was a professional uni student, and they looked down so the muscles at the back of their neck would tense up. But, if I'd have known then, possibly magnesium could have helped. But depression's the worst. I had a guy and he worked in the mines, and he would then come home and he'd do a lot of cycling. So he'd cycle 100 kilometres a day. And I remember him talking to me about it, saying, he wasn't doing that great. And then he went back to work and he rang me and he said, "Yes, I'm seriously not in a good way. I'm not." And I said, "Well, how much longer are you at work?" And he said 2 days. And I said, "As soon as you get off that plane, come and see me." So I gave him magnesium. I got a bottle of water out of the fridge, served him up a dose and sent him on his way. He rang me 2 hours later and said he felt more like himself than he had in years. That was one dose, Katie. Mind-blowing. And I just, I love it. So he's working in the mines, which you'd think of the heat. All of these things deplete your magnesium levels. Stress, the heat, exercising, they're the three that I can think of that really do deplete your magnesium levels. I also remember we've just been through the whole COVID-19, I'm going to call it a thing, whatever you want to call it. But whether it's COVID-19 or whether it's the flu or whether it's a vaccine, those things can deplete your mineral levels and your magnesium levels. So I've had a copious amount of people come into the store looking for help, whether they've had COVID-19 or whether the vaccine, that whatever. I'm not going to get into that issue, but I put them all onto magnesium. So it gets their hydration better. And there is another ingredient that I give them as well, and a couple of ingredients. And there's this little three-pronged thing that I give them to take for a week, and it is changing their lives and getting their energy levels back up, and magnesium. So they're, it's like when you're sick. If you get a virus, the flu, whatever, your mineral levels aren't going to be great. So you need to get them back up. Celtic sea salt is huge. So I recently just watched a video on that. Oh my God, mind-blowing. That table salt that you've got in your kitchen, throw it in the bin. That's the salt that they tell us to avoid. But you have beautiful, proper Himalayan salt or Celtic sea salt. It's life-changing. So I was just talking to a rep today who's in the health industry, and she suffers allergies and sinus and all this all the time. And I said to her, this morning, how much salt do you have? And she goes, not much. And I said, seriously, go and report back to me, because I've known her for a long time, so I know she will. But I said, go and get some good salt into you, and you may find that your allergies go away, your sinus and all that. I know it did with me. I used to get asthma and sinus all the time. Now, because I keep my magnesium up and my salts up, I just don't get it anymore. It's really interesting. Mother Nature, she has everything we need.
Yeah, I put salt in my, I put a little dash of salt in my coffee in the morning. But first,
Cool.
I put just a dash of salt,
Salty water,
glass of water, and that's the first thing I have in the
morning.
Yeah, I put some more in my coffee.
Hydrate.
And I feel more hydrated. Yeah. Is that what happens? Like
Yes.
Hydrated and I put salt in the water. So what happens? What is it?
Yeah. So you've got every cell in your body has a lining, and it's called the sodium-potassium pump. And that's how the minerals and everything gets in and out of your cells. So if your balance of minerals is not correct, and that's why the table salt will give you high blood pressure or clog up your cells, because the sodium, God, I don't want to get too technical, but you get into your osmosis. So osmosis is always high pressure to lower, to disperse. Anyway, look it up and it makes sense. It's like how your hose goes to the outside. Right. Anyway, so it's the same thing with your cells. So you're going to a high and low potassium, sodium. And if your sodium's too high, which comes from the wrong type of salt, your cells can't work properly. So the balance between the sodium, potassium inside and outside gets unbalanced, and then the fluid can't get in and out. And that's why you get high blood pressure. So your blood pressure goes up to try and force things into your cell that it's not doing with a proper balance of minerals. So, it's crazy. It's just, it's mind-blowing.
That what I have been told since I was a child, that too much salt gives you high blood pressure, is the opposite.
Yeah. Table salt will, because they bleach it, they wreck it, take everything. Right? Yeah. But when you're looking at proper salt, like your Celtic sea salt, Himalayan salt, totally different story. So I know people that take a tablespoon of salt every day, a tablespoon of Himalayan or Celtic sea salt every day, and they're amazing. So, I don't want to get into trouble for giving people the wrong information, but And this is not coming from me. This is coming from experts that you listen to, doctors, beautiful natural doctors that have been around forever that give you this information. So it's mind blowing. And I know that we've worked with football teams before where you put a tablespoon of salt into their big 25-litre drum of water at the beginning footy game, they don't cramp. Whereas without it, they're cramping.
The water that they're drinking.
Yeah, and it's got the minerals that it needs to and the sodium that it needs to not cramp. So it really is interesting, isn't it? The right balance. So this lady said about the Celtic sea salt that there's 3 different types of magnesium in Celtic sea salt. So how good's that? It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's also high in iodine too.
You go.
And that's really good for, a lot of people are deficient of iodine as well. So your Celtic sea salt's higher in iodine, your Himalayan's higher in iron, which is why it's pink. So, so iodine, there's an iodine deficiency these days, and the iodine obviously helps with your thyroid, which helps with your metabolism, which helps with weight as well, and that underlying issues that are coming through, and you wonder why sometimes the world isn't getting leaner. I'm going to say that diplomatically. And it's a possibility that they're short on iodine, so their thyroid's not working properly, which means their metabolism's not working properly. So many things. So many little things. Yeah.
The conversation could go on for a long time, right? I mean, it just takes you down another topic. But the reality of it is, they're all married, aren't they? So protein, magnesium, collagens, fats, healthy carbohydrates, and organic natural diets, staying as close to nature as possible, would bring us back to this homeostasis or a balanced health.
Absolutely. So much better. And that's why, I look at my shop sometimes and it's that balance between the supplements but like if you get down to the other side, which is all the organic whole foods, it's amazing. And you were talking about before the difference in flavour between organic and non-organic. And I've noticed the difference in our organic whole food section. Somebody once, I remember them coming in, they got some nutmeg, and they came back and went, "Oh my God, that nutmeg's amazing," because it's beautiful and organic. I know, it's crazy, but the difference is mind-blowing. It's the difference between getting a beautiful organic apple and then another beautiful, shiny, waxy looking apple. And the flavours, did I say that out loud? The flavour's ridiculously different. It's so, we forget what real food's supposed to taste like.
Oh, toys. In our house, we've always been organic, but my son doesn't really know any different. But he'll go to a friend's house and he'll come home and, I have like 3 apples because they just taste like cardboard, so I just keep eating them,
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to share an apple because it's so sweet and so developed. You don't need
beautiful,
right? It's very different.
No, it's crazy, hey. It's so cool. Might give it a go. I know Mike's coming into his quieter season because of the wet, but get it while you can. It's really cool. I know, it's so good. Yeah.
Hands down. And so tell me, Vanessa, I know that we can find you at Wicked Energy at Yarrawonga. And what about on socials? You guys on socials as well?
Yeah, if you look up Wicked NRG Sups for Facebook and the same for Instagram. Yeah, we do have I'm going to say I'm going to know it. I'm not going to know it. Who am I kidding? There's a healthy conversations group that we have too. I know that I just have too much on my plate. So Emily, she's been with me for probably 10 years now, so she runs that conversation. But it's a good little group. I don't know whether it's open to conversation, but there's, groups like that are hard. I know we had one at one stage and it all went pear-shaped because people, God, they get offended easily these days, don't they? Seriously, stop getting offended. Stop taking things personally. And I know, and for what? I just go like, seriously, stop being offended by stuff and have a life instead. And I just think that then conversations like that can be had where you don't feel like, you've got to watch every little thing that you say because you're going to offend somebody. And we've just got to be so much more open-minded, knowing that we're all different. We all have different opinions and see the world differently. That's what makes it so exciting. So, it's
With this
interesting and a big
conversation, is that on Facebook or?
It is. I'm going to my phone. What is it?
Okay.
It is on Facebook.
Okay, well, I'll get the
Yeah,
details.
we'll
from
put
you
it up
and I'll pop
because
it in the
it's
show notes.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. It's a great
one
world we
more
live
thing
in.
Before we go, one more thing. Where do you see the future of healthcare? What I see happening is people are looking elsewhere, right? People are looking for information. There's so much information out there. We have it at the tips of our fingers. So what do you see the future of healthcare?
How would I like to see the future of healthcare?
Sure.
I did integrative nutrition. Yeah. I did integrative nutrition probably 10 years ago now to be a health coach. And Joshua Rosenthal was hoping that in 20 years' time, which is probably now 10 years' time, that we'd be able to look back and go, what was that crazy medical system that we used to have? Now, I believe, and what I would love to see is the integration of natural medicine with sewing us back together. Because can I tell you, the medical system is not good with disease. And those words didn't come from me. They've come from a lot of other health doctors, really well-renowned doctors throughout the world. Pharmaceutical drugs, you have a look up any pharmaceutical drug and the amount of adverse effects that it has blows your mind. And what blows my mind is that every pharmaceutical drug is made to mimic something that Mother Nature can do. So what happens with a pharmaceutical drug? It does one thing, which it makes it really easy to prove. And people go, oh, what about the natural stuff? Why, Well, you look up one thing that Mother Nature does, and it does hundreds of things, not just one thing, which means how much money would you need to prove every single thing that it did? So imagine if more people just trusted in Mother Nature, trusted in natural medicine. And, it's funny because somebody recently asked me if I had something for cholesterol. I went, yeah, we've got a couple of things for cholesterol. That's an easy one. But how long will I have to take it for? Well, how long are you going to take your cholesterol medication for? The doctors tell you the rest of your life. So why are you having to go about natural medicine and saying, and in fact, you don't take natural medicine every day. You cycle on and off them. And please change your diet. So you want to lower your cholesterol? Make some changes. That's what I'd like to see. Going back to Carol Hungerford again, the integration of both together and working side by side. Work side by side. Stop bagging the crap out of, natural medicine. Can work so well. So well. That's how I'd like to see it go. I'd like to see people turning back to nature. Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it's,
people rather
yes,
Western. It's empowered
yeah,
with their own innate abilities to heal. that you do have
Yeah,
of your own family.
100%. And if you ask people and they're honest with themselves, I know it's like when people come in and they want to lose weight. So I don't give them a fat burner. I freaking hate fat burners, like especially caffeinated ones. But I'll ask them why. What's going on in your world that's making you hold weight? A lot of the time it's stress. Well, let's get rid of the stress. You have a shitty diet, you need to change your diet. It's that simple. You can't out train, you can't out freaking shove fat burners down your throat to outdo a shitty diet, Go back to 80-20, 90-10, Be good all week and half a day on the weekend, and then, have something not so good. We really do. Mother Nature has everything we need within it to fix us, and we have everything within us to heal ourselves. We just need to slow down a little bit, says me, to enable that to happen. Yeah. It's interesting.
I love it. Thank you, Vanessa O'Grady from Wicked Energy. You're welcome. Thank you for your time. You are such a wealth of knowledge. Your team are such a wealth of knowledge. Anytime I come into the store, everyone's super friendly, so willing to help. Darwin is very lucky to have you. The world needs more people like you. Thank you.
And same back, Katie. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've loved it. It's, trust in yourselves. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon, Katie. Thank you. Pleasure.